Welcome to Teatro Absurdo with Huilo Marvavilla, brought to you by Jaguar Bridge Productions and The Great Mystery. Well, hello there, podcasters. Welcome to Teatro Absurdo. I'm Willow Marvavilla, and this is Series 3. Welcome aboard to that which is ludicrous, preposterous, crazy, and, if you're lucky, dazzling. Hi, everyone. Yes, this is Willow. Welcome back to our third or fourth, I think, in this series on the Jaguar Portal painting. So I hope the intrigue keeps growing as the story develops that I'm putting out to everyone. And so we saw the genesis through a couple of sculptures for the Jaguar portals, and then we saw the first painting arrive through a crush, and then the ashes of the Phoenix Rising. And now we begin to look into the painting, which really started the portals, the direct portal paintings, suns, which is a whole other discussion, but the books that I wrote, which are called Tales of a Jaguar Magician, which came to me from a dream in Mexico. As I stated, I woke one morning with the words El vuelo del mago Jaguar on my lips and my tongue, and that proceeded to generate 21 paintings that were illustrations. Those were less about what I'm going to talk about now. Those were more on developing a series of paintings regarding new mythology on the story of gender, the laws and principles of gender, not the faux laws in the Supreme Court or the Christian or other churches. So with that said, as you can see in this painting that I'm putting up somewhere, and if you can't, you're just on the RO podcast, you also can't see my new wig, which is kind of cute. Just splashing it up. I will do my best to describe the painting to listener viewers only, and you can also go to my website directly or find this podcast on YouTube and look at the painting yourself. This painting, unfortunately, was destroyed 2 times. How can that be possible? To the point that it doesn't exist anymore. It's in ashes. It was first destroyed at that artist retreat center in New Mexico. It was slashed, and then I took pieces of it to Mexico thereafter, and with a friend of mine, did a huge mural, as I stated, called the 13th Portal. That arrived in Costa Rica, was put on the ceiling in cathedral style. It was beautiful. And some unruly neighbors or people arsoned the building, the 3-story building, and burnt all of the art. And that's happened a couple times. So anyway, what's happening in this painting is there were several things I remember going on when I started these paintings. Was I became really fascinated, as I stated, with the growth of consciousness, the movement of consciousness through 3D dualistic, perpetual conflict resolution consciousness to something around unity consciousness, where there is a state of being, let me see if I can describe unity consciousness for even myself right now, where things are all coming together, and there's kind of a state of being where we're realizing everything is coming from oneness. I mean, that's what I believe. It's like I was sitting in my hammock last night and just kind of staring at my little box of sky. And there are these two very stately coconut palms that are probably about 4 stories tall. So that means they are probably, I don't know, I want to say at least 80 years old. If not longer, I don't know. So tree people, you figure that out on the tree science people. But what I was getting at last night is I was becoming aware that everything is conscious. Everything is sharing a type of consciousness on this planet. It doesn't have to be human consciousness, um, which is so centric that everything has to think and exist and perceive the way humans do, or even groups of humans do. Right now, we're seeing that my way is your way, or my way is my way and not your way, la, 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 but I'm digressing. But however, what I started to look into, and I have no idea where exactly this idea came to me, except I'm a thinker, I'm a ponderer, and I was thinking one day in Mexico, and I would wake and I would have these words or ideas on my head and in my head. And this one was particularly about designing the Jaguar portal paintings, which would be, I was very curious, as I've stated, about neural coding and neural patterning through the images we are allowing into our optic sphere, and then the translation that the mind and the heart mind and all these things do in order to create an experiential reality. Because we're constantly being affected by what we see or feel or touch or smell. So in this case, I was fascinated by sacred art, ecstatic art, anything used visually to transcend reality. I mean, commercials and advertising try to do that all the time. If you ingest this, you will transcend your pain, you will transcend your financial predicament, you will transcend your visual, physical state, look prettier, cleaner, whatever. However, I think certainly artistic, transcendent visual art can be used to perceive differently, to think differently, to move differently. So I know that when I started developing these paintings, I was like, wow, I really want to help humanity figure this out, because there's only so much we can resolve through wars and incessant bombs and nuclear, and obviously religion at this point has become so tainted with, I don't know, angry, punishing energy, controlling of women, controlling of gender, controlling of everything, that I don't think religion is not right now about transcendence of the human condition to become better connected to our godlike self. And a godlike self is one that is aligned with the magnificence of A, living in a body, and B, being able to create and mimic the beautiful nature around us. So in these paintings, again, the symbolism is a way to invoke something within the cerebral physiology, and I'm not a brain surgeon, and I don't even want to go there. If somebody out there wants to start a conversation about that, please do. But I'm very aware of how color, moves the cones and rods in the eye. That's why when you, for example, see a brilliant cerulean blue, which is that really dynamic sort of cobalt blue, next to a dynamic cadmium red, which is a very pure red. It's very hard to find good reds, but you can in art. And when you put those two next to each other, I mean, I've been told for red, and I'm going to just invoke it as a possibility that your cones and rods move quicker with certain colors. They flux, thereby creating, vibrational sensation through the physiology of the mind, the optic nerve, and the visual cortex. Again, this is not a science lesson. This is an artist trying and willing to use art, to invoke art that helps the viewer move beyond, to transcend just the state of objectivity and a very passive engagement of art. So that's, the one that goes in and, looks at a work, for example, in a museum, and, just kind of gets lost in, the history and what they think that Rembrandt was trying to do, or Picasso, rather than just being with the art and being present with what that art might be stimulating within themselves. So in this painting that was developed around 2006, you can see a couple of birds, which are the phoenix bird again. So, the etheric, bringing the air ideas in and moving them out. So one bird is coming down from above and the other is moving up towards up. I don't know if the sky is always up, but we'll use that for now. So also then you have a triangle in the back of the entire painting, which is, 3 points coming together in harmony. It also encapsulates 3 circles, which is a very old sacred geometric symbol. And in those are other symbols of alchemical sigils used perhaps into changing lead to gold. So you see one for mercury, mercurial energy, which is liquid metal. So a seemingly, physical, solid structure as metal actually becoming liquefied. So that's, creating more fluidity in our thoughts. So the viewer is probably likely unknown to the exact potential definition of some of these symbols. I can tell you more. I mean, there's a Mayan numeral number in there for the number 13, which was considered in many societies a number of transcendence, of death, transformation. There's a sigil to, I believe, what are called the Kamea, the choirs of Venus, the intelligence of Venus is summoned. So in a painting, what I'm also doing is I'm pulling patterns together, not just because they're cool, but to summon, to invoke, to bring the energy forward in the pattern tracking. Okay, because so the mind is trying to develop a story. First it says, is this going to eat me or not eat me, the primal fears. And once that's neutralized, then it goes and says, well, what is this image trying to communicate to me? Is this food? Is this, et cetera, et cetera. So these paintings become nutritive. Nutritive, is that a word? I don't know. A nutrient for the mind to go deeper into its pattern tracking and invoke what I refer to as the master observer. Most people in this world are passive observers. They just receive regurgitation from corporations and religion and government and other people. I mean, my God, with the internet, blah, 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 and now I'm a part of it. So again, back to the painting. There's a big sort of circle in the background of the entire painting, which is kind of two crescent spheres, so encapsulated perhaps by the new moon or the waning moon, who knows, but it brings in lunar qualities of intuition, the feminine, psychic energy, these sorts of things into the story, the discussion, the conversation. The painting is inviting you into. In the very, 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 very center of the painting, I believe between the symbol of gold and the sun and Mercury, is the brain of illustration of a brain. So that's saying something about the painting is asking, for the discussion to look into how we think. What is the brain? What are our thoughts? So that spirals down through what looks like feathers into a spiral again. So the painting starts to create movement. And then there at the base of the painting is a representation. I don't want to appropriate here, so I'm just going to say representation of antique art from probably Mesoamerica, could be others, of two feline beings connected. One is facing east, one is facing west. So when something is facing east, that's new beginnings. Facing west, that's culmination and also place of dreams. So there we see resonant tone, ba, 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 which is also is the name of my production company, the Jaguar Bridge. And I will probably mention this several times, but the yes and is the Jaguar Bridge was presented to me in Costa Rica by an indigenous grandmother, that this is a totemic energy field of connecting the feminine and the masculine together. So the eagle and the condor myths, needing the Jaguar Bridge to bring this together. So we have this painting. It's the first of these portal paintings that came through in Mexico, and then there were several more. So we'll move on to another one. And for now, I just want to say the absurdity of the week or this moment, as I was watching an interview with a writer, Salman Rushdie, who had been attacked and his eye was stabbed and now he has one eye. But he said something about, and the quote is that, there is a danger in artistic expression. And I know this all the time. I have self-edited at certain points, self-censored because I was scared to show certain elements of paintings and books. And then I walked it back and I said, I am no longer censoring genitalia in my art, which is likely banned in Florida and other places right now. Or I'm also not censoring what might be fearful to a viewer that is wrapped around some Hollywood biblical motif and what they think is a fearsome image. So with all of that said, I wish everyone well. We'll do another one of these. We'll try to do it every week. And onward, and the story of the Jaguar portal paintings, the destruction and the magic, and what's going to come to you in New York City and other places in the autumn and spring of 2024 and 2025. And thank you, and goodbye. Art in dangerous times. And that was it, my dear friends. Teatro Absurdo Series 3, brought to you by Jaguar Bridge Productions, angels, guardians, guides, and perhaps a few demons, if you're lucky, from the underworld. So tune in to us on all the major social circuits around the universe. Bye-bye.